Hello again, and welcome to the Noble Father podcast. If you're joining me for the first time, my name is Theophilus, and this is a very much a work of passion for me. Growing up, long story short, I'll give you the brief synopsis of my life. Growing up, I wanted to be three things: Batman, which is not possible, and number two, I wanted to be a police officer, and the last thing I wanted to be was a present father. There came a time where I decided, and I don't know what came over me, but I knew that I couldn't have both. I couldn't be a police officer and also be a present father. At least from what I saw in policing at the time. I grew up watching Cops and Batman the animated series, and you can't really do both. And I knew that I had the wherewithal, and so that journey has taken me to becoming a father myself. And one of the things that I strive to be is be very, very present. And I'm not perfect. And so this podcast, though I speak about these topics, I am an imperfect father as well. And I'm just delighted that you are here to listen to this podcast and everything it's taken for me to be here right now. If you are listening to this on audio platforms, know that I also release on YouTube. And so this video is available, and you can see me, you can see my wonderful background, you can see, you can watch, if that's kind of your thing, to watch the podcast as I go to speak about it. Before I begin, many of you who have tuned in for a while know that this is not my usual angle. And the thing about this is, Tuesday I ordered a few weeks ago, I ordered a standing table, and that has come in the mail. Tuesday of last week, so got to build that. And so now we have a new angle. This is going to be the new look. You get to see the mountains behind me, the farmland that our house backs into, and also a variety of goodies that I have as kind of props for my podcast. And actually, what I want to do right now is I want to explain to you what these different props are and what they mean to me, and the significance of them in my life. So I'm going to start with this painting that's to my left behind me. And this is a painting that my wife made at kind of this competition. A friend of mine, Alex, was holding a UFC night, and Alex's wife was going to have some friends over as well. My wife was invited, and they did kind of like this spur of the moment painting competition. And so they set up canvases. Everybody had a certain amount of time to paint something, and this is what my wife ended up coming up with. And I like to call it the Tempest. And she ended up it was for the husbands to come down and vote whichever one was the winner, and this was the painting that was selected. And so this holds a special place in my heart because this is very much who my wife is. She is a painter, she's an artist, and I very much appreciate all the work that she does and the support she's given this podcast, guys. I mean, I would not be doing this if it wasn't for some support network. And, ultimately God gets the glory on that, bringing us together in China when we did. And so this holds a very special place in my heart. This painting is it makes a really good backdrop and a good prop for the podcast. This painting right here was done by my son when he was, I believe, 2 or 3 years of age. My wife helped him put that together, and it just says "Best Dad Ever." And that's what I'm trying and striving to do, and I definitely it's a pride and joy to show that off, because I am very proud of my children. This little potted plant Lego set is a Chinese New Year build, and it is essentially a money tree. And so, money is this, fortune is this big thing in my culture. And anytime we can wish somebody, when, during New Year's, you say Gong Hei Fa Choi, which is like wishing you many blessings and, good fortune. And so that's a big deal for me to have that sitting here. Not that, I am all about, money or what have you, but it's a good blessing nonetheless. I have a Batman Funko Pop, and Batman is a big deal. for me, as you can notice that my chair is also a Batman themed chair. And this desk, the standing table that I got is also a Batman theme. I'll probably make a video on it and show you my new setup, everything that I have going on here, just to give you a sense of what my area and my workspace is, and how Noble Father came to be from this. This is a tile that my son put together, and he brought it home. And it says, "I love you, Daddy." And it's me and my son. And I guess this is a memory for him that we went crab hunting back in 2022, I believe, and on White Rock Pier. And that's me, and that's my son there, right? He has it labeled, and you can see the crabs, and you can see the detail of the pier. We went down to the water, and just, being present. The memories that we make with our children, it sticks with them forever. Right next to it, we have this Thanos Infinity Gauntlet from the Avengers. This is a Lego build that my son put together. My son is really good at Lego, and he put it together, and I thought it'd be an amazing prop. The thing about Thanos is, I have some friends who have had a difficult time pronouncing my name, and they don't want to use it. And so what do they end up calling me? They end up calling me Thanos. And so quite significant, I guess you could say. Picture of my son. You are my sunshine. I do need to update this photo and include my daughter in there. I don't want you to think that everything here is all really my son's things and I only, value my son. No, I love my daughter just the same. This is a tiger figurine. I think it's epoxy that it's made of. But the thing is, if you can look really closely, is that it looks like little fragments of paper in there. Well, this is actually Chinese 100 RMB notes that have been shredded and put inside of this tiger figurine. Tiger is significant in my life because I am born the year of the tiger, and I had my most epic year. I say the most epic year. Coming out of the pandemic was the year of the tiger, and this is just a representation of me and my culture and what I am about. And I think there's about, I forgot how many bills they stuffed in here, but it was a significant amount. And the last thing I wanted to share is something that is of great prophecy in my life. And I want to give the backstory. And I'll just show you right now what it is. And so for those who are on the audio and not able to tune into the video, it is a painting that somebody made for me. And it's literally a kite in a red forest, like forest trees that are red. And there's a skyline that is in the dark. You can see stars in there, and there's a giant silver sun/moon. I'm not sure which. It's probably a sun, but anyways, this was painted for me when I was in China. I was helping a organization there when they were doing a conference, and they needed childcare, and somebody needed to help take care of the children, organize helpers and what have you for the duration of the event. And I was appointed that person, and at the end of it, they gave me this gift. And the significance of this is that the team that went to China to do the conference, before they even met me, I've never seen them, never met them before, I've never had any interactions with them before. They had multiple paintings that somebody had painted like this, and sitting on a table, and it had my name in front of the painting. And what they were supposed to do was the entire team was supposed to write a sentence or write something as a prophetic word to me or whoever else the paintings were. And so this is a collection of what people said in the spirit about me before they even met me. And that's what I'm going to read to you from the back. These are the words that people were giving me. Now, this was given to me in 2000, I want to say 2012, maybe 2013. So almost 10 years plus since that time. And I never really understood what the significance of the words were until now. Now that I'm doing Noble Father work, very significant. And I want you to think about, for those that know me, how significant these words mean to me, because it's very much a prophetic word for me. So I'm going to read this. You are amazing, funny, joyful, powerful. And then there's a smiley face emoji. You are like a treasure box. God has been preparing you for a long time, and it's time that he is going to unveil the treasure in you. You are like a book to many people. People will come to you for counsel because the wisdom of God is inside of you. You carry the presence of God, and wherever you go, you change the atmosphere. You bring the kingdom, and people feel peace and hope. You then bring God's word to set people free with hope of glory. And so, why is that significant to me, right? From 2013 till now, I wouldn't say my life was... Sorry, let me put this back really quick here. I wouldn't say my life was, I don't know, very intentional, I guess. But, God obviously was preparing me for something. I had to go through those experiences for me to end up where I am now, to utilize the skills that I picked up along the way for this journey. But now, going back to reading it, I feel like, wow, that is so fitting and so true, and it has come true, the words that were given. And, whatever you believe about prophecy, whatever you believe about spiritual gifts, what have you, it is interesting how fitting that is for me and what I am doing right now, and God's assignment for me working and speaking into the lives of fathers. That is very significant to me. And, every day I thank the Lord. I am blessed to be doing this work. I thank him for the support that I've been shown, the guys who are in my meeting, everything that I am, and the people that are part of my life now and part of the group there's so much intention to them. I never could have orchestrated this myself. I mean, if I had to go and think back to how I came about this journey, how far do I go back, right? You guys, some of you may have heard the interview with my father. I feel like when I listen to that, there's appointment, divine appointment, and there's there's an orchestration that is so well thought of that has created the person that I am today, and to be able to speak into that for other fathers today. And today's topic is one in which I want to open up a treasure. This was something that was brought to my attention by one of our members, Ruben. And you've heard me speak about Ruben before. He's a man after God's own heart, and he shares very, very openly. And the thing that he shared was on a story of Moses in Exodus 33. And so I'm not going to read the whole chapter to you. There is parts that I do want to read to you, and I want to give you the context, as to Exodus 33. Now, the reason why it's called Exodus is because the Israelites, was part of an exodus out of Egypt, right? If you've ever watched Prince of Egypt or know the story of Moses, Moses was born, and because the king was warned in a prophecy that there was going to be a son who would cause the demise of his civilization or something to that regard, ended up culling all the children. And the mother of Moses ended up, because knowing that this was going to happen, put him into a straw basket down a river, and that child, Moses, ended up being put in the care of one of Pharaoh's daughters, I believe, or the Pharaoh's wife. And so Moses, this child raised by the Egyptians, ended up being the messenger that God, called to deliver his people out of Egypt. And so they come out of Egypt. Obviously, there's a longer story, right? The 12 plagues, whatever you call it, and so God's people are wandering, and so they stop. The context behind this Exodus 33 is that they've stopped, and Moses is on Mount Sinai. and he is conversing with God about the commandments and what God wants and what is the plan for his people. And while Moses is up there, the people rebel and they get Aaron to build them a golden calf, right? A calf made of gold. And obviously Moses comes back down. He is livid. God is livid. And as punishment forces these people to drink the gold that they had used to cast this idol. Now, further instructions, right? Because God had made a promise to them that he was going to give them this promised land. He was going to give them this place of milk and honey. So just talking about the blessing. But the thing is about this land is that it's already populated by people who are not Israelites, and yet God's promise was that he was going to deliver this land to them, and it's going to be theirs, and he's going to, drive them out, and this is going to be their land. And so I'm going to read from chapter 33 and from verse 1 to verse 6, and then I'm going to jump to verse 12 to verse 23. And so that's the background, right? They've made the calf, God is upset, and now God is giving them a commandment to leave Sinai to the next place. The Lord said to Moses, "Depart, go up from here, you and the people whom you have brought up out of the land of Egypt, to the land of which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, to your offspring I will give it. I will send an angel before you, and I will drive out the Canaanites, the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Go up to a land flowing with milk and honey, but I will not go up among you, lest I consume you on the way, for you are a stiff-necked people." When the people heard this disastrous word, they mourned, and no one put on his ornaments. For the Lord had said to Moses, "Say to the people of Israel, you are a stiff-necked people. If for a single moment I go up among you, I would consume you. So now take off your ornaments, that I may know what to do with you." Therefore the people of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments from Mount Horeb onward. So God instructs them to leave Sinai and go towards this land that he has promised them. But the thing is that he's saying that he's not going with them. And obviously the Israelites hear this and they are devastated, right? Because they know what this means. The significance of it is a big deal. And of course they would mourn. And so, and honestly, like, you can't really fault God, right? Because God had delivered them. They saw all the plagues. They witnessed all the plagues, and they saw the deliverance that happened. The Red Sea was split and they escaped, right, by the skin of their teeth. Like, and Pharaoh's army was washed up in the Red Sea, right? This was all witnessed, right? God had been leading them through the deserts, right? And God had been there, kept showing up for them. And yet in the moment of weakness, Moses going up into the mountains, and they thought he would never come back down, they went and made an idol and worshipped it. You can imagine how upset God was. How dare you? Like, how quick do you forget my blessing? And so this is a big deal, right? God is essentially saying, I'm sending an angel on my behalf. I will not be going, because if I go, I'm going to do something really, really bad to you. And so that sets the context for you. The next few verses, Moses. So the reason why Moses has to go up to Mount Sinai is because God is not going to be in the presence of the people. Anybody who sees his face cannot live, is what God says. And so Moses sets up a tent of meeting. A tent of meeting would be where Moses would go in. It's the most holy place. God's presence will be in there, and he would go and speak to the person that he appoints, which is either Moses or Aaron. And so Moses, knowing that, because he was spoken to as well, of like, okay, Lord, you're not coming with us, but you're sending an angel on our behalf. And so verses 12 through 23 is really Moses' intercession. It's him speaking up and saying, excuse me, like, no, you made, anyways, I'm going to read this. You're going to see what I mean. Moses said to the Lord, See, you say to me, bring up this people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, I know you by name, and you have also found favor in my sight. Now, therefore, if I have found favor in your sight, please show me now your ways, that I may know you in order to find favor in your sight. Consider too that this nation is your people. And he said, My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. And he said to him, If your presence will not go with me, do not bring us up from here. For how shall it be known that I have found favor in your sight, you and your people? Is it not in your going with us, so that we are distinct, I and your people, from every other place on the face of the earth? And the Lord said to Moses, This very thing that you have spoken I will do, for you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name. Moses said, Please show me your glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and will proclaim before you my name, the Lord. And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. But he said, You cannot see my face, for man shall not see me and live. And the Lord said, Behold, there is a place by me where you shall stand on the rock, and while my glory passes by, I will put you in a cleft of the rock, and I will cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will take away my hand, and you shall see my back, but my face shall not be seen. Now I want to go back to the part where he says, My presence I will go with you, and I will give you rest. And he said to him, which is Moses, If your presence will not go with me, do not bring us up from here, for shall it be known that I have found favor in your sight, I and your people. That part where he says, If your presence will not go with me, do not bring us up from here. Now I want to highlight something here for you, is that the relationship and the talking back and forth, this conversation that's happening, is Moses is like a son. He is the son and God is the father. And so this interaction that you're hearing and seeing, which is very much our conversations with God. God is our father, and we are like children to him. This interaction is quite significant. And there's a tie-in piece to the father and son thing here. And not just sons, I think you get daughters as well, right? So notice how he challenges God, right? Not challenges, but just Moses like calls out, Hey, didn't you say this? Like, didn't you promise this? Like, you need to, almost as if he's holding God to account to the words that he had said, even though everything has happened, even though the rebellion between Israelites and God, Moses was still like, Hey, like you said this, you need to keep your word. And here's the significance of this verse is that, and this is what Ruben brought to my attention, which I feel is so applicable for us as fathers, is that one is God gives blessings, okay? And also God's presence brings blessings as well, but presence is the other side of the coin. Sending the Israelites to go and promising that I'm pretty much promising the promised land to the Israelites is the blessing. Sending an angel on his behalf it's still good, but but the Israelites don't want to go if they don't have God at their back. Right? God is not there, I'm not going. And so the contrast here for this passage is really blessing or presence. Which do you prefer as a father, as a child even? Which do you think your children prefer, blessings or presence? It's a very simple answer. We obviously know what it is. And I want you to think about this world that we presently live in. What do you think most fathers provide? I feel like most provide the blessing and negate and forget the fact that their presence is infinitely more important. And the blessing of presence is far beyond any blessing that a father can give in terms of provision and entertainment and what have you. And so that's the significance for me. That is a tie-in for me of fathers, is that blessings is never going to supersede your presence. You could send your kids to Disney World, but if you're absent, I don't know how much of a memory that is for your child. If you're present at a local swimming pool, the memory you create there with your child would be way better than the memory you tried to make in your absence in Disney World. And so your presence is infinitely more important. And here's another tie-in, is that what's amazing to me is that all these Israelites pretty much sinning against God, that one man who has God's favor he was able to redeem on behalf of these people. So he was interceding on behalf of the Israelites upon God, and God was taking the faith of one man and pretty much going back on his vindication, on his anger towards the Israelites. Because of Moses, Moses was able to intercede for his people, which is amazing to me, and Moses, right? Moses was like a father to the Israelites, so he is interceding on their behalf. It gives me the wonderful picture of a father, and I tried to do this in my own life, and I'm not perfect by any means, but interceding on the behalf of my children, interceding on their future, and making sure that I pray for them, and doing the best of my ability to be the father that my children deserve, and being as present as I can, and trying not to repeat the mistakes of generations in the past. And it's amazing because God intended that journey to be, God intended fathers to be that presence in their children's lives, not just to be a provider of the blessings, not just a provider of the goods that our kids consume, the goods that our children wear, the provider of vacations, the provider of the electronic fun, and our presence is infinitely more important. And I really feel like that is the essence of the story, is Moses saying, Lord, if you're sending us, but you're not going to be there, if you're going to be absent, I don't want to go. Essentially, it could be like, Lord, Dad, if you're sending us to Disney World, but you're not going to be there, I don't want to go. I don't want to go if you're not going to be there. I certainly wouldn't, right? If I think back on my childhood and my dad was like, hey, I'm going to send you guys to Hong Kong, and you guys are going to get to go to Disneyland, get to see friends and stuff, and I hope you guys enjoy your trip. My response probably would be like, I don't want to go, Dad. Why aren't you going with us? I want to stay here with you. And I've had instances with my son as well where it's like, no, Daddy, how come you're not coming with us? And it's a very childlike response, and it's a loving child. A child really wants to spend time with their father and their parents, right? And so if you're not able to be there and your presence is not there, why would I want to go? Don't send me if you're not going to go. And that is the beauty of this verse. And that's why later on that's why the Lord goes to say, hey, you know what? I will, this very thing that you have spoken, I will do. For you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name. And then Moses says, please show me your glory. I will make all my goodness pass before you, and will proclaim you before you my name, the Lord. And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and show mercy on whom I will show mercy. Right? Moses interceded successfully and said, Lord, I don't want to go to this place without you. As much as the blessing is, as much as of a blessing that your blessings are, I want your presence more. And that's a decision we must make as fathers. If you're a father of faith listening to this, is think about your life and the direction that you're going. Is your prayer seeking more of God's blessing than God's presence itself? Because that truly matters. And one of the things that I realized in this journey of Noble Father is that, we can pray and ask God to take us to the place that He promised us. But let's just say I know where that is, and God made that known to me, but I go there without God. I could turn a right place into the wrong place because I've gone there without Him and without His presence and without His blessing. So it's very important for us to for us, fathers of faith, if that's not your thing, take this however you take it, is that if we go there without God, we could turn a good place into the wrong place. And so make sure, whatever you do, that you are listening to God's leading and guidance, lest you go without him and you lose the blessing and you lose his presence. It's dangerous when we step out of those, if we do things that aren't not what he calls us to do. Just look at Jonah, right? God told him to go to this city and he disobeyed and went to another, ended up in the belly of a fish. We need to follow. And this journey has been that. I've tried my best to be obedient to what God has said and follow in those footprints, because I don't want to go anywhere without him. I don't want to go anywhere in pursuit of blessing and lack his presence. And so that's really all I wanted to share for this podcast. Think about it for yourself. What does this mean for you? Are you being as present as you can with your family? These are very important things. If you're tuning in for the first time, we have a Monday life group, which is kind of a faith-based conversation. It's a meeting that we do. We're going through the purpose-driven life right now. We're on chapter 3, so it's still a good time for you to join us. And it's really not a space to be preached at. It's just really fathers bringing their faith journey, what is coming up for them, and growing together. Any questions that you have, it's a wonderful space to do that in. That's on Discord. We have our own Discord server. So if you're looking for that, please reach out to me. I can send you the invitation link there. We are a premium community. And so if you are looking to experience what our community is all about, you can come check us out and we'll give you a 30-day trial with our community. And we meet on Mondays at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And so you can come out, check us out, listen in. You don't have to speak if you don't want to. Just keep your camera off. You can just tune into our conversations. Thursdays, we hold our meetup, our regular meetup. We call it the Thursday meetups. And it's just a wonderful space for fathers to come. It's not faith-based at all. And it's just a discussion of how was your week. Bring any dilemmas that you have. Celebrate the wins. Teach us some of the lessons that you learned. And we bring some prompts to deepen our understanding. It's really very much about making social media more social. And that is what our community is all about. We have other things in store, looking to do retreats as well. We have a map of all our community members and where they are. And we're just very intentional and very purposeful there. And so if that is right up your alley, please reach out and I'd love to give you the link to that. But remember, we're not promised tomorrow. So be present and stay noble. Thank you.